Zauend. There is a kind of strength that does not announce itself, does not argue, and does not seek attention. It is the strength of silence. In a world that constantly encourages us to speak, react, explain, and defend silence has become a rare form of wisdom. Salinger, knowing when to remain silent can protect your dignity, preserve your peace, and elevate your life in ways words never could. Always be silent when you are angry. Anger clouds judgment and turns temporary emotions into permanent damage. Words spoken in anger often come from pain, not truth. And once released, they can or not be taken back. Silence in anger gives you time to cool down, to regain clarity, and to choose a response that reflects your values rather than your frustration. Be silent when people misunderstand you. Not everyone is meant to understand your journey, your choices, or your growth. Constantly explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you only drains your energy. Silence allows time to reveal truth. Your consistency and character will speak louder than any explanation ever could. Remain silent when you are being provoked. Some people seek reactions, resolution. They want emotional responses, not understanding. You refuse to react. You remove their power. Silence becomes a boundary that says, I will not participate in chaos disguised as conversation. Be silent when you are tempted to boast about your success. True success does not need constant validation. Quiet confidence carries more weight than loud pride. Let your results speak. Let your work tell the story. Silence in success keeps you grounded and protects you from unnecessary comparison and envy. Stay silent when you hear gossip. Gossip thrives on participation. Silence stops its spread. When you choose not to engage, you protect your integrity and your peace. You also show respect for others, even in their absence. Silence here is not weakness, it is moral strength. Be silent when you are hurting deeply. Not everyone deserves access to your wounds. Some people listen to respond, not to understand. Silence allows you to process your pain privately, to heal without interference, and to seek support from those who are truly safe and compassionate. Remain silent when your intuition warns you. Sometimes silence is your inner wisdom, asking you to observe rather than act. Listening quietly can reveal patterns, intentions, and truths that noise would hide. The silence sharpens awareness. And finally, be silent when words will only escalate conflict. Peace does not always require explanation. Sometimes walking away is the most powerful statement you can make. Silence can end arguments that words would only inflame. Silence is not about fear or avoidance. 106,000. It is about self-mastery. It is about knowing that your voice is valuable, and therefore you choose carefully when to use it. When you learn the art of silence, you stop reacting and start responding. You protect your energy, your dignity, and your emotional well-being. In silence, you grow. In silence, you observe. In silence, you rise. Silence is a form of emotional intelligence and self-control because it reflects the ability to pause, observe, and choose wisely rather than reacting impulsively to every situation. In a world where people are encouraged to express opinions instantly and loudly, silence often goes unnoticed, yet it requires far more strength than speaking without thought. Emotional intelligence is not only about understanding emotions, but about managing them in ways that protect peace, clarity, and dignity, and silence is one of its most powerful tools. When emotions run high, words can easily become weapons. Anger, frustration, fear, or pride can push people to say things they do not truly mean. Once spoken, these words cannot be taken back, and their impact can last far longer than the emotion that caused them. Silence creates space between feeling and action. It allows emotions to settle and clarity to return. This pause is an act of self-control, showing that you are not ruled by your emotions, but capable of guiding them. Silence also demonstrates awareness. Emotionally intelligent people observe before they respond. They listen not only to what is being said, but to the tone, intention, and underlying emotion behind the words. In silence, you gain information. You notice patterns, inconsistencies, and truths that noise often hides. This awareness allows you to respond thoughtfully, if at all, rather than reacting blindly. Control through silence does not mean avoidance or weakness. It means knowing that your voice has value and choosing carefully when to use it. So not every situation deserves an explanation. Not every comment deserves a reply. By remaining silent, you protect your energy and refuse to engage in unnecessary conflict. This choice reflects maturity and confidence, because you do not the need to prove yourself at every moment. Silence is also a powerful boundary. When you stop responding to provocation, gossip, or manipulation, you send a clear message without confrontation. You communicate that you will not participate in chaos or emotional games. The boundary is often more effective than arguments because it removes the reward that negativity seeks, which is attention and reaction. Emotionally intelligent silence fosters inner peace. Constant reaction creates mental exhaustion and emotional instability. Silence allows you to reset, reflect, and reconnect with your inner calm. In quiet moments, you can process your feelings honestly and what truly matters. Now, this internal dialogue strengthens emotional resilience and self-awareness. Silence also enhances relationships when used wisely. Instead of interrupting, defending or escalating conflict, silence can create space for understanding. It allows others to feel heard and encourages thoughtful communication. When words are used sparingly and intentionally, they carry more weight and meaning. This balance strengthens trust and respect. Choosing silence often requires courage. It is easier to argue, defend, or explain than to sit with discomfort. Silence forces you to confront your emotions rather than discharge them onto others. It asks you to tolerate uncertainty and resist the urge for immediate validation. This courage builds emotional strength and independence. Over time, SilenceIsPower, practicing silence reshapes how you experience life. You become less reactive and more intentional. You stop being pulled into every emotional storm and start navigating challenges with composure. Silence becomes a source of power rather than passivity. It gives you control over your narrative and protects your emotional well-being. In the end, silence is not the absence of communication, but the presence of wisdom. It reflects emotional intelligence because it shows understanding, awareness, and restraint. It reflects self-control because it proves that you can choose peace over impulse and clarity over chaos. When used with intention, silence becomes a quiet strength that guides you through life with dignity, balance, and profound inner stability. Not every situation deserves a reaction or explanation because reacting to everything gives away power that should belong to you. Many people feel pressured to respond to every comment, defend every choice, and explain every decision, believing that silence means weakness or guilt. In reality, constant reaction is often a sign of insecurity, while restraint reflects confidence, clarity, and self-awareness. Wisdom teaches that energy is limited, and where you choose to spend it determines the quality of your life. Reactions are often driven by emotion rather than reason. When someone criticizes you, misunderstands you, or challenges your decisions, the instinct may be to react immediately. But immediate reactions rarely lead to understanding. They often escalate conflict, create regret, and distract you from what truly matters. By choosing not to react, you allow emotions to settle and perspective to return. This pause protects your peace and helps you avoid unnecessary emotional exhaustion. The explanations can be equally draining when they are offered to the wrong audience. Not everyone is interested in understanding you. Some people only it. To argue or to maintain their own narrative. Explaining yourself repeatedly to such people does not bring clarity. It brings frustration. When you realize that your truth does not need universal approval, you free yourself from the burden of constant justification. Silence in these moments is not avoidance, it is discernment. It is the ability to recognize when engagement will lead to growth and when it will lead to chaos. Discernment is a form of emotional intelligence that allows you to choose responses intentionally rather than reactively. By stepping back, you regain control over your emotions and decisions. Not reacting also preserves dignity. Arguments fueled by ego often end with words spoken in haste and regret. When you choose not to react, you maintain composure and self-respect. You show that your sense of worth is not tied to others' opinions or approval. This quiet confidence speaks louder than any defense or explanation ever could. There is also power in letting actions speak. Over time, consistency reveals truth more effectively than words. When you live in alignment with your values, you do not need to explain them. People truly care who will understand through your behavior, and those who do not were never seeking clarity in the first place. Trust SilenceIsPower. Trust that time and integrity will do the explaining for you. Choosing not to react or explain also protects mental health. Constant engagement with negativity, criticism, or misunderstanding can lead to stress and self-doubt. Silence creates emotional distance from these pressures. It allows you to focus on growth, creativity, and meaningful relationships rather than endless emotional battles. This does not mean you should never speak up. There are moments when clarity, honesty, and advocacy are necessary. The key lies in choice. When you respond because it aligns with your values rather than because you feel provoked, your words carry strength and purpose. You speak from intention, not impulse. Learning that not every situation deserves or action or explanation is a powerful life lesson. It teaches you to value your energy, respect your emotions, and trust your inner voice. Over time, you become more grounded and less affected by external noise. You stop living in reaction to the world and start living in alignment with yourself. In the end, silence and restraint are not signs of fear, but of mastery. When you choose wisely where to react and where to remain silent, you reclaim your power. You protect your peace, preserve your dignity, and create a life that is guided by clarity rather than chaos. SilenceIsPower. Quiet confidence is more powerful than loud reactions because true strength does not need to announce itself or demand attention. Loud reactions often come from insecurity, fear, or the need for validation, while quiet confidence comes from self-awareness, emotional stability, and trust in oneself. When a person is secure in who they are, they do not feel compelled to argue, prove, or defend themselves at every opportunity. Their calm presence speaks louder than any emotional outburst ever could. Loud reactions may create temporary impact, but they often leave lasting damage. Words spoken in anger or frustration can harm relationships, undermine credibility, and create regret. Quiet confidence, on the other hand, preserves dignity and respect. It allows you to remain composed in situations that test your patience and character. This composure is not weakness. It is control. And control is one of the highest forms of power. People with quiet confidence understand that not every situation requires their voice. They choose their moments carefully, knowing that timing and intention matter more than volume. When they do speak, their words carry weight because they are not wasted on unnecessary conflict. Silence, paired with confidence, becomes a powerful statement that says, I know who I am and I do not need to explain it. Quiet confidence also reflects emotional intelligence. It involves recognizing emotions without being overwhelmed by them. Instead of reacting impulsively, a confident person observes, listens, and responds with clarity. This ability to remain steady under pressure builds trust and respect from others. People are naturally drawn to those who remain calm in chaos because calmness signals strength and reliability. Loud reactions often escalate conflict. They invite resistance, defensiveness, and further misunderstanding. Quiet confidence diffuses tension. It lowers emotional intensity and creates space for resolution. In many cases, a calm response can transform a potential argument into a meaningful conversation. This transformation happens because confidence does not need to overpower. It simply needs to be present. Quiet confidence also protects inner peace. Now, when you stop reacting loudly to every provocation, you conserve energy and focus on what truly matters. You are no longer controlled by others' words or actions. And instead, you remain anchored in your values and priorities. This stability allows you to move through life with clarity and purpose rather than constant emotional turbulence. In relationships, quiet confidence fosters respect. It sets boundaries without aggression and communicates self without arrogance. When you remain calm and assured, others learn that manipulation, drama, and provocation will not affect you. This understanding reshapes interactions and encourages healthier communication. Quiet confidence is also deeply connected to self-trust. When you trust yourself, you do not need external validation to feel secure. You know your intentions, values, and capabilities. This inner assurance allows you to remain composed even when misunderstood or criticized. You understand that your worth is not diminished by others by opinions, and this understanding frees you from the need to react loudly. Developing quiet confidence takes time and practice. It grows through self-reflection, emotional awareness, and intentional restraint. Each moment you choose calm over chaos, silence over argument, and understanding over defensiveness, you strengthen this inner quality. Over time, quiet confidence becomes a natural part of who you are. In the end, quiet confidence is powerful because it is rooted in authenticity and control. It does not seek attention, yet it commands respect. It does not react impulsively, yet it influences deeply. When you embody quiet confidence, you move through life with grace and strength, allowing your actions, consistency, and calm presence to speak for you. This is a power that does not fade, because it comes from within and remains unshaken by external noise. Mastering silence leads to wisdom, clarity, and personal growth because silence creates the space necessary for reflection, understanding, and intentional living. In a world filled with constant noise, opinions, and distractions, silence allows the mind to slow down and the heart to be heard. It is within silence that thoughts become organized, emotions settle, and insight begins to emerge. Without silence, growth becomes reactive rather than conscious. Wisdom is not only learned through speaking or gathering information, it is cultivated through listening and observing. Silence sharpens awareness. When you stop filling every moment with words, you begin to notice patterns in behavior, both your own and others. You start to understand motivations, consequences, and truths that are often hidden beneath surface conversations. Silence teaches patience, and patience is a foundation of wisdom. It allows time for understanding to mature instead of being rushed by impulse. Clarity develops when silence replaces constant reaction. Emotional noise can cloud judgment and distort perception. When you step into silence, emotions lose their intensity and perspective returns. This clarity helps you separate what truly is from what matters merely distracting. Decisions become more intentional. Zilong, you stop reacting to external pressure and start acting in alignment with your values. Silence becomes a lens through which life is seen more accurately. Dalhant, personal growth requires honesty. Honesty and silence invites self-honesty. In quiet moments, there is no audience to impress and no distractions to hide behind. You are left with your true thoughts and feelings. This can be uncomfortable, but it is necessary for growth. Silence reveals fears, insecurities, strengths, and desires. By acknowledging them, you gain the power to grow beyond them. Mastering silence also strengthens emotional discipline. It teaches restraint, patience, and self-control. Instead of responding impulsively, you learn to pause and choose your response carefully. Zhao Dalthazend, this discipline builds confidence and emotional resilience. Over time, you become less affected by external chaos and more centered within yourself. This emotional stability is a sign of maturity and growth. Silence also deepens understanding in relationships. When you listen more than you speak, you learn to understand others beyond their words. You notice tone, body language, and unspoken emotions. This awareness fosters empathy and compassion. Zalozen, it allows relationships to be built on understanding rather than assumption. Silence becomes a bridge to deeper connection rather than a barrier. Personal growth is also accelerated when silence is used as a boundary. By choosing silence instead of engaging in negativity, gossip, or unnecessary conflict, you protect your energy. This protection creates space for learning, creativity, and healing. Growth cannot thrive in constant emotional turmoil. Silence creates the calm environment necessary for development. Mastering silence also builds self-trust. When you are comfortable in silence, you no longer fear being misunderstood or judged. You trust that your actions and consistency will speak for you. This trust reduces the need for constant explanation or validation. You become more independent emotionally and mentally, which is a key aspect of personal growth. In the end, silence is not empty. It is full of potential. It is a teacher that offers wisdom through observation, clarity through reflection, and growth through self-awareness. When you master silence, you learn to listen to life rather than fight it. You become wiser in your choices, and clearer in your direction, and stronger in your sense of self. Silence does not remove you from the world. It prepares you to engage with more consciously, more confidently, and with a deeper understanding of who you are and who you are becoming. Silence protects peace, dignity, and inner strength because it allows you to remain grounded yourself, even rounded in yourself, even when the world around you is loud. demanding, balancing, or chaotic. In moments of conflict, pressure, or misunderstanding, silence creates a space where you can breathe, reflect, and choose your response rather than being driven by impulse. This quiet pause is not empty. It is full of awareness, self-control, and emotional balance. Peace is fragile when every word spoken by others has the power to disturb it. When you react to every comment, criticism, or provocation, your inner calm becomes dependent on external behavior. Silence breaks this pattern. By choosing not to engage with negativity, you protect your mental and emotional peace. You stop allowing others to dictate your mood, and instead, you reclaim control over your inner state. The peace grows when you decide that not everything deserves your attention. Dignity is also preserved through silence. Words spoken in emotional moments, off moments, and reveal more about the speaker than the situation. When you argue impulsively or defend yourself aggressively, you may compromise your values and self-respect. Silence allows you to rise above pettiness and emotional traps. It reflects confidence and maturity, showing that you are secure enough not to be provoked into behavior that does not align with who you are. Inner strength is built in moments of restraint. It takes courage to remain silent when you feel misunderstood or attacked. The desire to explain, justify, or retaliate can be overwhelming, but choosing silence requires discipline and trust in yourself. This self-control strengthens your emotional resilience. Each time you resist the urge to react, you reinforce your ability to stay calm under pressure and remain steady in challenging situations. Silence also creates clarity. When emotions are high, words often become distorted by fear, anger, or pride. Silence allows emotions to settle and truth to emerge. In quiet moments, you can observe your feelings without being consumed by them. This awareness helps you understand what truly matters and what is simply noise. Clarity gained through silence leads to wiser decisions and healthier communication when the time to speak arrives. Another powerful aspect of silence is its ability to set boundaries without confrontation. By choosing not to respond to disrespect, gossip, or manipulation, you communicate that such behavior has no place in your life. This boundary protects your peace and reinforces your dignity. It also teaches others how to treat you, not through force, but through consistency and self-respect. Silence can also disarm negativity. Many conflicts continue because they are fueled by reaction. When you withdraw that reaction, negativity loses its power. Silence interrupts the cycle of emotional escalation and creates space for resolution or detachment. In this way, silence becomes a tool of empowerment rather than withdrawal. Inner strength grows when you trust silence to do its work. You learn that you do not need to explain yourself to everyone, that your worth is not defined by others' understanding. And that your peace is more valuable than winning arguments. This trust in silence fosters confidence and emotional independence. In the end, silence is not about hiding or avoiding life. It is about choosing calm over chaos, dignity over drama, and strength over impulsiveness. When used with intention, silence becomes a shield that guards your peace, a mirror that reflects your self-respect, and a foundation upon which inner strength is built. Through silence, Zolausen, you learn to stand firmly in who you are, unshaken by noise, and guided by wisdom and inner calm. In conclusion, silence is not the absence of power, but the presence of when you learn to remain self-mastery. When you learn to remain silent in the right moments, Zolausen, you protect your peace, preserve your dignity, and strengthen your inner foundation. Silence teaches you to observe before reacting, to choose wisdom over impulse, and to grow through reflection rather than conflict. Thrallens, calm silence becomes quiet, clarity becomes natural, and personal growth becomes intentional. By mastering silence, you do not withdraw from life. You rise above its noise, grounded, aware, valor, and guided by a calm strength that speaks louder than words ever could.